So this is my second day of incarceration because the government allows you to count the day that you come in as your first day. So today's my second day. Anyways, my trip. How was my trip? Interesting. Um, I had to go to Ottawa to pick up my sister and my niece. They bought a house out in Truro. So I I took the plane, and the only flight that I could get was it had a layover in Toronto for 40 minutes. So I took the plane, and the plane. It's funny because out at the airport in Halifax and in Toronto, they have seats. They have stickers on seats so that you don't sit close to people because of the C word. Anyways, they um, the, I mean, it was just kind of foolish, really. But then when they loaded the plane was completely packed. I mean, and I'm sure if you've ever taken a flight, you know what it's like to be on a plane. The seats are like right close to each other, but this plane was absolutely packed. Wasn't a single seat, and it took them a long time to load. So when I guess the plane took off late because they were trying to cram more and more people in this plane. Got to Toronto. By the time we got to Toronto, I think it was only half an hour or 40 minutes late or something. But of course, by the time it came in, the flight that was supposed to go to Toronto to Ottawa was already taken off or getting ready to take off. So that 40 minutes, it turned into 7.5 hours being inside the Toronto airport. Yay. So, so of course I'm in there and I don't know what to do for 7.5 hours. I left security because, I wanted to go out and have a smoke and stuff like that. And also, I was a little afraid about having a beer on the plane because I don't like using the bathrooms in the airplane. So I don't drink coffee and I don't have a beer. However, that hasn't been true all the time because I've been with some friends where we drank way too much on the plane. So we waited the 7.5 hours. I ate way too much. I'm on a diet, and then, of course, I totally screwed up the diet because you're going away somewhere. So after the 7 hours, finally got there. Got into Ottawa. Met these two guys that were one guy was from Newfoundland. The other guy, I'm not sure where he was from, but they're flying up to. Oh, I don't even know the name. Inquilip, something like that. It's up north, anyways. So, so those guys were saying that they had to, when they got into Ottawa, they had to, they were incarcerated for 2 weeks, and then they could go they must have been working on oil or something. I'm not, probably oil on a rig or something. But they had to stay there for 2 weeks, and then when they got back to wherever they live, Newfoundland and the other one, they would have to go and for another 2 weeks when they come back. So interesting fellas. But so then I put the Uber app on my phone. I've never taken Uber before, and some young guy. It only took 15 minutes. It's actually pretty cool. If you've never used it, you should use it. You can actually see the guy's car coming up. Like you can see everywhere where that guy is, and it shows you on the map, and it shows you when he gets there and all that stuff. So it's pretty neat. Only took 15 minutes. Got in his car. This dude was playing this bizarre music. It was like it's kind of like rap, but it was just very repetitive, bump, bump, bump kind of music. A little annoying, but anyways, I got to my sister's house, and when I walked in the door, I looked around and I said, "No, this is never going to happen." the idea was to load the, pick the truck up, load the truck, and have it loaded by say 3 o'clock or something like that. Take off, drive all night, unload the truck the next day, and then of course then I'd have to start my 2 weeks of incarceration. But I got in there and looked around and I said, I don't see this happening. But somehow, in a miracle, they hired a couple of movers out there. These two guys, good guys, decent guys. They did a really good job, and we got the truck loaded somehow. It only took, I think it took like 3 hours or something like that. But the truck was absolutely packed. It was absolutely packed. So yeah, so we got the truck packed, and then of course, you know, they got to clean the house and all that stuff. So I was waiting. I was like chomping on the bit because I wanted to get out of there and get going, because I wanted to drive as much in daylight as I possibly could. So, anyways, the we finally got out on the road, and of course, the very first thing I do in Ottawa is I miss a turn, or my sister was telling me to take one turn, and my niece was telling me to take another turn, and I listened to my niece, and that was the wrong one. So I had to do a little bit of driving around Ottawa. And then we finally eventually got on the highway. And I know there's a way that you can not go through Montreal, but of course I didn't use the GPS or anything, so I just stayed on the number one and went right through Montreal. That was a nightmare with that truck because I mean, it's a pretty big truck, and the roads are really skinny on the Trans-Canada going through Montreal, because you know, they're trying to get as many cars as they can get through there possible. So this truck barely fit in there, or at least I felt it didn't. But somehow I got through there, got through Montreal, and scared out of my face trying to get through there. And of course I went through, must have been about around 5 or 6 o'clock, you know, exactly the time you don't want to go through there. But somehow I made it through. Got through there. Then once I got through there, I said, okay, well now it's, you know, it's smooth sailing from here. And got up around, once I got up around Quebec City, I figured, okay, well this is easy, because you just take, you know, number 2 or whatever and go all the way down there. Well, it's not really number 2, it's number 40, and then it turns into 20. But so I stayed on 40, and of course I'm driving along thinking I'm on the Trans-Canada, and I come up to a traffic light, and I'm thinking to myself, this is really odd. I've never heard of traffic lights on the Trans-Canada Highway. But after about the 3rd or 4th one, I said something to them, and of course my niece says, well, we should stop and check. I said, well, I'll stop when I see a gas station. So of course I didn't see a gas station. I kept going. There was not a soul out on the streets. Quebec's currently has a curfew, so there wasn't anybody out there, and we were virtually the only car on the street driving down this main drag. So eventually I come up to a town. I thought I was supposed to be going to St. Anne, but I come up to a town, and eventually I had to stop. So I stopped, pulled in this gas station, figured out that I was about 40 minutes, I drove 40 minutes the wrong way. So I'm thinking, oh my God, this is crazy. So of course I turn around, drive the other 40 minutes, get back going, get back on the right road. This time I used the GPS to make sure I didn't miss my turn. And then I got up going towards trying to get into New Brunswick. Got to, eventually, after hours, of course, couple hours, few hours, finally got up to the New Brunswick border. They have it blocked so that you have to stop in and see the RCMP, and you have to register with 5 days in advance of getting there. So talk to him, you have to give him your registration number. He looks it up just to verify. And of course my niece, her phone died, so she couldn't get her registration number. luckily the cop let us go through, but he did tell us we were supposed to register in Nova Scotia, and I didn't know that. I thought you were just supposed to do like the daily, you have to check in every day, and if you don't check in every day, if you miss a day, then they try and call you, and then if you don't answer, then they send the cops. And I think the first time that happens, it's $1,000 fine, and then the second time that happens, I think it's a $10,000 fine. So, yeah, yay. So we coming up to, just outside of Moncton. I literally thought I was gonna fall asleep while I was driving. I knew I was getting really close, and we were supposed to be there at 9 o'clock, and it was getting later and later and later. I knew we weren't gonna make it for 9 o'clock, but we finally, finally, for some reason, we found a place we could get something to eat, and this is a boring fucking video.